Stevie Nicks, the unmistakable voice behind Fleetwood Mac, has consistently embraced honesty when discussing her past, especially the intricate and often turbulent relationship she shared with former bandmate and ex-lover Lindsey Buckingham. Their creative chemistry was the stuff of legend, but the emotional fractures behind their partnership have continued to captivate audiences for decades. In a recent candid admission, Nicks shed light on a specific trait of Buckingham's that she found intolerable, offering a rare glimpse into the complex dynamic that played a significant role in crafting some of rock's most iconic music. Long before Fleetwood Mac achieved international stardom, Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham had already begun to intertwine their personal and artistic lives. Operating as the musical duo Buckingham-Nicks in the early 1970s, they spent their formative years striving for recognition, creating songs that displayed an evolving creative connection. Offstage, their romantic relationship was just as intense, though even then, it was starting to show troubling signs. Everything shifted in 1975 when the pair officially joined Fleetwood Mac. What seemed like a chance to breathe new life into the band quickly became the gateway to worldwide fame, and equally intense emotional turmoil. The unique spark between Nicks and Buckingham, both in love and in music, injected fresh vitality into Fleetwood Mac. Yet, this same spark also birthed a working relationship as explosive as it was innovative. From the outset, their contrasting creative tendencies clashed. Buckingham was meticulous, obsessing over the tiniest elements of their sound, whereas Nicks gravitated toward a more free-spirited and intuitive method. These opposing styles initially enhanced their work, but eventually fueled repeated conflict. In a 2017 interview with NPR, Nicks openly reflected, "We were two completely different kinds of people." She explained that while Lindsey focused heavily on control and precision, she required space to let her creativity unfold naturally. Their artistic friction, though often productive, underpinned both their musical triumphs and their most explosive disagreements. The release of Fleetwood Mac's Rumours in 1977 catapulted the band into the annals of music history. But behind the glossy production and chart-topping success was a group in emotional freefall. For fans, the album delivered timeless anthems, but for the band, especially Stevie and Lindsey, the songs were deeply personal and painfully raw. Tracks like Dreams and Go Your Own Way were written as direct responses to their very public breakup. Dreams conveyed Nicks's yearning for emotional healing, while Go Your Own Way captured Buckingham's frustration and bitterness. The music allowed both to speak their truths, but also laid bare their heartbreak for the world to hear. While Rumours was a monumental success, it also signaled the onset of a rocky chapter for the former couple. The emotional weight of their breakup, combined with the relentless pace of touring and the trappings of fame, only deepened the strain between them. What had once been a romantic partnership now became a lingering point of tension, one so palpable that even fans and fellow band members couldn't ignore it. Though their friction occasionally sparked brilliant songs, it also exposed emotional wounds that never fully healed. Their collaboration may have been celebrated, but it came at a steep personal price, a cost that would eventually become part of their shared legacy. Over the years, the discord between Nicks and Buckingham became increasingly visible, often spilling out of private conversations and into the public sphere. One of the most dramatic turning points occurred in 2018 when Buckingham was abruptly dismissed from Fleetwood Mac just before their worldwide tour. The band issued polite, non-confrontational statements, but Nicks would later divulge in an interview with Rolling Stone that a particular moment during the Music Cares event was the final straw for her. She described Lindsey's demeanor during her acceptance speech as dismissive and claimed that the entire situation had become no longer fun and no longer tolerable. Buckingham, on the other hand, painted a vastly different picture. Speaking with the Los Angeles Times, he characterized the decision as a coup orchestrated by Nicks, claiming that she presented the band with an ultimatum: either he leaves or she walks. The highly publicized split ignited fierce debates among fans, many of whom struggled to reconcile their loyalty to both sides. Yet, this moment was hardly the first time personal emotions eclipsed their professional responsibilities. Their onstage performances often mirrored the tension simmering beneath the surface of their relationship. One such unforgettable moment came during the 1997 reunion concert for The Dance. The unresolved emotions between Nicks and Buckingham were laid bare as they performed Silver Springs live, a performance that left audiences stunned. With unfiltered passion, Nicks sang, "You'll never get away from the sound of the woman that loves you," a line that echoed with years of love, pain, and resentment. The performance was electric and haunting, a living testament to a love story that had long since crumbled, but never fully faded. Stevie Nicks, the unmistakable voice of Fleetwood Mac, has never been one to hold back, especially when it comes to discussing the stormy past she shares with former bandmate and ex-lover Lindsey Buckingham. Their artistic collaboration helped define a generation, yet the behind-the-scenes turmoil of their relationship continues to captivate fans even decades later. In a recent candid admission, Nicks revealed the one trait in Buckingham that she simply couldn't tolerate, an insight that sheds new light on the complex dynamic behind some of rock music's most enduring hits. Before Fleetwood Mac catapulted to superstardom, Stevie and Lindsey had already carved out a deeply personal and musical bond. As the duo Buckingham-Nicks, they spent the early 1970s forging a sound rooted in intimacy and artistic chemistry. Yet beneath their growing success, cracks had already begun to show in their romance. When the pair joined Fleetwood Mac in 1975, everything changed. The opportunity reinvigorated the band, propelling it to worldwide fame. But it also amplified the pressures and problems within their own relationship. From the outset, their creative connection brought new life to Fleetwood Mac. But with that energy came frequent clashes. Lindsey was meticulous, a self-described perfectionist obsessed with technical precision, while Stevie thrived in a more free-spirited, instinctive approach. These differences, at first complementary, often turned combustible. In a 2017 interview with NPR, Nicks summed it up simply. "We were very different kinds of artists." She described Buckingham as controlling and rigid, while she needed room for her songwriting to evolve organically. These creative oppositions fueled both their most iconic work and their most volatile disputes. When Rumours dropped in 1977, it became an instant classic. But what fans heard as hauntingly beautiful tracks were actually emotional time capsules of a band in crisis. Songs like Dreams and Go Your Own Way offered two perspectives on Stevie and Lindsey's unraveling love story. Dreams reflected Nicks's introspective yearning, while Go Your Own Way captured Buckingham's bitterness. The album's success couldn't hide the fractures within the band. For Stevie and Lindsey, their split had far-reaching effects, both emotionally and professionally. As their romantic relationship disintegrated, the tension between them didn't subside, it intensified. The demands of fame, exhaustive touring schedules, and emotional baggage turned their working relationship into a minefield. What once inspired some of the greatest rock ballads of the era became a constant source of strain. Their collaborations, though still brilliant, came at a steep cost. Their relationship became a cautionary tale of love tangled with legacy. Over the years, the friction between Nicks and Buckingham moved from whispers behind closed doors to full-blown public fallouts. One of the most infamous ruptures occurred in 2018, when Buckingham was suddenly dismissed from Fleetwood Mac just before a world tour. Though the band issued neutral statements, Stevie later told Rolling Stone that a particular incident at a MusiCares event pushed her past her limit. She recalled Lindsey's demeanor during her speech as condescending and disrespectful, saying, "It just wasn't fun anymore." From Buckingham's perspective, the story played out differently. In an interview with the Los Angeles Times, he claimed the firing was essentially an ultimatum, Stevie or him. He called it a coup, suggesting Nicks had made it clear that she wouldn't remain if he did. The fallout ignited fan debates, as supporters found themselves split over whose version of events felt more truthful. Their personal conflict had long been woven into their performances. One of the most memorable examples came during the 1997 reunion for The Dance, when Stevie delivered a fiery rendition of Silver Springs, locking eyes with Lindsey as she sang, "You'll never get away from the sound of the woman who loves you." That haunting stare became an unforgettable moment for fans, though within the band, it was a stark reminder of the emotional tension still simmering. Even as Fleetwood Mac solidified its legendary status, the inner workings of the group remained fraught. For Nicks, the struggle with Buckingham was not just romantic fallout. It became a creative challenge. She often spoke about the difficulty of working under his intense, sometimes overbearing direction. While his high standards contributed to Fleetwood Mac's polished sound, They often left Stevie feeling boxed in. In a recent interview with The Guardian, she admitted, "Sometimes it felt like he wanted to dictate who I was, not just in music but in life. It was draining." That feeling of constraint only worsened over time, especially after their relationship had ended. One particularly rocky chapter unfolded during rehearsals for a late 1990s reunion tour. Reports of heated arguments circulated, and in a later Rolling Stone interview, Stevie acknowledged that Lindsey could be needlessly antagonistic. Though many details stayed private, her growing weariness became harder to ignore. Rather than boiling down to a single explosive event, Stevie's final breaking point was the cumulative weight of years of unresolved tension. In a 2022 New York Times profile, she described it as constantly being questioned, a burden she eventually refused to carry. Despite the masterpieces they co-created, the personal toll left a deep imprint on her. With the distance of time, Stevie Nicks has developed a sense of clarity and acceptance about her bond with Buckingham. Though they've rarely reconciled since his 2018 departure from the band, she has acknowledged the greatness of their shared artistry. "We made incredible music together," she once said. Still, she's been honest about the emotional cost. "There was love, but we couldn't make it work." That bittersweet sentiment captures the heart of their story. A dynamic marked by passion, pain, and unforgettable music. Their artistic tension, though destructive at times, gave birth to some of Fleetwood Mac's most resonant work. Albums like Rumours remain cultural landmarks because of the raw honesty baked into every lyric and chord. As Stevie reflected in one interview, "It was the drama that made it interesting." And it's true. Fans felt the authenticity in every song, born from real-life love, heartbreak, and resentment. Yet that same drama often threatened to derail the group. Mick Fleetwood once called Stevie and Lindsey's relationship both a blessing and a curse. Their inability to truly separate their personal lives from their professional ones meant that the band was constantly walking a tightrope. In the end, their tangled history served as both the backbone of Fleetwood Mac's sound and a shadow that lingered long after the final notes faded.